Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So welcome to our first AI workshop here in MCC. So my name is Zahir Khan. Few of you know me. I'm a Musalli of MCC, and at the same time I'm a board member here. So MCC is starting this new initiative, Alhamdulillah, AI for the community. And we have been formed a good team, Alhamdulillah. You'll be seeing we'll do the introduction of the team, and we have a packed agenda today. So we are going to have some information why we are starting this. We have some mission statement and objective and goal about it, and we'll introduce the team today. And we have the presentation, panel discussion, and demos, and we'll end with some question answers, inshallah. So starting that, Bismillah, we have, this is our team, including me here. This is, mashallah, truly amazing individuals. Good thing about this is these are all our local musallis, alhamdulillah. We see them in our prayers. You come to Maghrib or Isha or Fajr, alhamdulillah, this team is here. So as we go along with this presentation, we'll introduce every individual. The good thing, this community, mashallah, is not only with bright individuals, we also have amazing leaders. So our team is backed with some advisory board. So the advisory board, we have few amazing leaders. We know Dr. Nazir Ahmad is our scholar and tutor and mashallah historian, amazing person. Dr. Asif Khamar, he's the AI guru. Last year in early 2024, we have done an AI class with Dr. Asif Khamar in MCC. So he's also working, and we know our brother Paresh Qureshi. We are happy, we are honored to have him today with us. And we also have Brother Hanif Muhammad. He's also our Musalli. He was our ex-board member too. So this is our advisory board. We go back to them to get some advice and governance, and if we need some backup thing, like we need to understand how we should move forward. So this is our team. This is Zahir. I'm the program coordinator here. Inshallah ta'ala, going forward, this is our first, as I said, first workshop. We have plans to do more than one. So we are starting in 2025. We have plans to go for many years, inshallah ta'ala. Once this workshop ends, we'll take the feedback, and then we'll process it, how to proceed, and with the next workshops, inshallah ta'ala. So after that is, why AI and what is our goal? What are we thinking about with MCC using the platform of this amazing facility, and at the same time the topic itself is something very bright today. So we have made some statements for us to understand and give us a direction to put this project in a shape. So we say mission of statement for this AI for the community is to empower community with AI opportunities and education and the amazing opportunities with AI. So inshallah ta'ala, we hope and we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that it enable us to help the community, and at the same time for us. Our objective is to create the awareness of AI. Definitely, we all are knowing what AI is now today, and it's a timely requirement that we should jump into it and enable the opportunities, and also we plan to give some tools also. The tools, as we go along, the individuals will help to understand what those tools are. And then finally, the goal, we want to definitely enable the entrepreneurship among the community. When we think that this has completed our mission, that time we want to see some, inshallah ta'ala, new startups with the youngsters, inshallah ta'ala. At the same time, trying to do mentorship with our leaders and have some networking. And finally, the skills, rescaling ourselves. These days, so much of challenges with the technology. Individuals who are working, they know they are seeing the challenge. So we are here to, inshallah ta'ala, enable those things to reskill our working individuals. And this is not only for IT professionals. This is, our audience is general. At the same time, we want to get IT professionals, non-IT professionals as well, like people who are in finance, who are in lawyers, who are medicine, all those things, inshallah, we like to serve that. And, oh, sorry. Yeah, today's agenda. We have introduction, we just finished, inshallah, and engaging the presentation. From here, inshallah, I'll hand over this mic and I'll ask the brothers to start the presentation. And with the presentation, we also follow with the demos, inshallah ta'ala. And ending with the demos, we have the panel discussion where we have an opportunity to listen to these truly amazing leaders, alhamdulillah, individual engineers. And then after the panel discussion completes, we'll end up with a question answer session. Most likely around 7:55 or 7:58, we'll try to wrap up because 8 o'clock we have Isha. So that's the time frame we are looking for, inshallah. And after that, we also plan, alhamdulillah, a few of our brothers wants to stay back. If you have questions, inshallah ta'ala, we can connect back with them. So with that said, I will request, Brother Laik and Brother Raza to come over here. Jazakumullah khair. Inshallah, we'll start with the presentation.
One should be good.
That should be good. Okay. This is moving forward, this is moving back.
Jazakallah khair, Brother Zahir. Assalamu alaikum. Timing did not work out, of course. We did not knew that Super Bowl is going to be there today. But now we know who are the dedicated folks here. So really, really appreciate you joining. So thank you so much. Brother Reza and I are here today to just give you a little bit of perspective about what AI is. Maybe some of you know actually a lot more than what we're going to talk about here today. But this is more at a very, very conceptual level. The thought process is there that we'll talk to you about what is AI, why AI, and then, of course, how to kind of get engaged from an AI perspective. So that's what we will cover as part of this conversation. With that being said, where is that? So let me start by saying that AI is not just the future, it's the present. And the best time to learn is now, right? We are not talking about future. We are talking about today. You are surrounded by AI. Maybe you like it or not like it, but you're literally surrounded by AI. It's like the way how we use a phone. We are very much near the time when we'll start using AI exactly in the similar fashion. And we will be so dependent on AI as we are dependent on our phone. So better get used to it sooner, quicker, faster. And then a little bit about us. I will start with my introduction. I have been coding since grade 6. I currently work as a chief AI officer for a technology firm, actually not a financial technology firm. I had the opportunity to do 3 masters, been to Harvard, MIT, Boston University. I teach AI. I enjoy teaching AI, and then, of course, born and grew up in India. And then I've been here in the community for almost like 9 years now. So that's a little bit about myself. I will hand it over to Brother Raza, who has got an amazing credential as well. So let me let Brother Raza introduce himself.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Raza, and I am currently working as an applied scientist in Amazon. I am part of the Amazon Q business team, where I have been working on training different type of agents to automate enterprise tasks. And I have been fortunate to be part of a few big tech companies like Google and Microsoft. And before that, I did my PhD from UC Berkeley. While working at these companies, I have also been fortunate enough to have taught at UC Berkeley. I have taught Intro to Data Science course, I think 4 or 5 times, and Applied Machine Learning course as well. One thing that I am really proud of in my career is that I was one of the first team member who worked on the Alexa wake word model for Arabic language. And so that was a really proud moment for you. And similarly, some of the other work that I have done, especially as part of the Microsoft Cloud and AI team, is being used by many different government agencies like FBI. So that is some of the highlight of my career. I will pass it back to Brother Laik now.
Thank you so much, Brother Raza. And by the way, I should basically have started by saying, Zahir Bhai, thank you so much for the vision. It all started with Brother Zahir and quite a number of other folks who thought about AI. And then we really appreciate MCC giving us the opportunity to talk about this a little bit at length. Now, what we will do is we will just walk you through some basic concepts on AI. As I said before, A lot of you might actually know about these concepts, but this is more for community, everyone, so that we can actually bring everyone on the same page. So the next slide is, what is artificial intelligence? But before I kind of get started, I would love to kind of get an engagement from the audience here and see how many of you are really working in AI currently. Or maybe, how about this? How many of you are using AI? You feel you're using AI? I would have loved to see everyone using AI because you are actually using AI no matter what. And how many actually building AI here? How many of you are really building something in AI? Quite a few. There you go. That's great. I mean, what do you think is a good definition of AI from your perspective? Because you're already working in this space. I'll just bring the mic. That's fine. I'll dance around.
So according to me, AI is like something mimicking a human, what a human can do, right? We have like a buddy to study, we have like a friend to talk about something, we have like a personal assistant who we can, give this, like put this task in my wait list or something like that. So that is AI according to me, and it's growing day by day.
Makes sense. Absolutely. I mean, in simple terms, AI is literally emulating human behavior. That's basically what it's trying to do. If you think about a brain, what does a brain do? Brain is responsible for learning, reasoning, making decisions. AI is the brain for computers. I mean, in very, very simplistic terminology. I'm not going to go through the technology piece of it, but just know that AI is kind of a brain that is helping you make a rational decision, help you in terms of reasoning as well as learning. The most important aspect of AI is learning aspect. Oops. I should be pointing that side. Okay, so in the age of AI, the biggest superpower is knowing how to ask the right questions. Do you agree? Disagree? Right? If you think about it, the way how we're using AI currently, the best way to use AI is if you can ask the right questions. How many of you use actually ChatGPT here? Most of you, right? Do you ever get the answer first time when you ask ChatGPT? You have to go through some iterations, right? That's basically called the art of asking questions, refining your questions. And that is basically what I feel is the most important thing, making sure that you really understand what's the right question to ask AI. Because if you go vague, AI will basically go vague. But if you're very specific in terms of asking a question, you will actually get a very specific answer. That's what AI is really, really good at. We will not get into technological aspect of it because there are like number of ways how you can fine-tune the prompt. That's not the intention. We will talk about it later. But let me keep going. Oops. I'm just going to flip through some slides. How does AI look? If you look at the Bollywood version of it, this is the way how they depict AI, but that's not actually true. AI looks like this. Or maybe it looks like this, 0 and 1. That's what it is. Literally 0 and 1 floating around. Number of examples that I can kind of bring up about AI. AI is everywhere. We talked about it. Stock market, it's all full of AI, quant models and things like that. Weather patterns, right? I mean, you can always see different kind of patterns coming from an AI perspective. This is a great example of AI. Trust me, I mean, I've kind of seen a number of models work, but the most complex and a miraculous application of AI is basically autonomous cars. So why? Because it uses multimodality, right? It's making decision, it's reasoning, it's learning, it's understanding. So that's the reason why I call this is a very good example. And I just want to call out by just saying quickly that AI is around us as we are in this conversation. Delhi is creating almost like 100,000 plus images. ChatGPT is having 50,000 plus conversations. Tesla AI is making 200,000 plus driving decisions. And then your brain just processes almost like 4,000 plus signals. That's what's happening right now, right? What does it basically mean? It means that AI is getting intelligent every day. In fact, I'm going to just leave you with a thought that we are at a very pivotal point in the entire history of the mankind that computers are more intelligent than human beings. Simple. And there's a reason which we will not go through at this point of time, but all right. So hand over to Brother Raza to kind of talk about a few things. I'll be here. If you want me.
Okay, so just looking at the audience, I can see that we have got quite a diverse audience. Some of you are students, some of you are professionals, maybe working in computer science and maybe not working in computer science. So in this part of the presentation, we just want to give you some motivation that why you should be getting involved with AI. And you may have heard about some of these news articles that some of the CEOs from some big companies in Bay Area are already saying that they are not going to be hiring new software engineers this year. As a matter of fact, there is quite some concern in the industry that there are going to be quite some layoffs in the industry. But having said that, if you look at some of the trends in the job market, you would be able to see that there are quite a few jobs related to AI. As a matter of fact, some of these jobs were not considered doable by computers or machines to say. But you can say that even the fresh software engineers who have got some experience with AI would be able to get six-figure salary if they are good in AI. So the point I want to make over here is that if you want to future-proof your career, it is must to have a good working knowledge of AI. If you can use it for your tasks, you would be able to have a headway as compared to the other people. Similarly, some of you may be entrepreneurs in the audience. You may be trying or wanting to start your own business. In the last 4 or 5 years, no other field or industry has created as many billionaires as computer science and more specifically, artificial intelligence. As a matter of fact, this is slightly older slide. And if you go at, if you look at the recent valuation of companies like OpenAI, I think it is in hundreds of billions of dollars. And all of the founders of Anthropic right now are billionaires. But even if we talk about some other people, for example, there was another Muslim brother who lost his job offer right after graduating from the graduate school. But just because he had good knowledge of artificial intelligence, he was able to start his own company. And within a span of 2-3 years, his company is having an annual recurring revenue of $3 million. So once again, even if you are not into AI, but you want to start a new business, you should have a good knowledge of AI. It can give you a lot of boost. And lastly, even if you are an academic or student, AI is having impact on every field. As a matter of fact, the Nobel Prize winning teams in physics and chemistry last year had one guy who was actually an artificial intelligence scientist. And right now, some of the models that have been developed by companies like OpenAI and others are able to beat some of the toughest qualification exams right now. They can be math qualification exam and some other qualification exam. So the point over here is that whatever is your field, whatever discipline you work in, AI can help you. If you are working professional, then you can have better career prospects. If you are an entrepreneur, you have an opportunity to create something big. And even if you are only a student right now, AI can be your personalized tutor right now. So I hope that by this point, I have given you some motivation that why AI is going to help you a lot if you are going to adopt it. Right now, we are going to describe some of the basic concepts behind AI. As it was earlier mentioned that we are not going to go into a lot of technical details in this session today, but we have got some other sessions planned in future where we are going to go into technical details. But in short, AI can be considered as a super smart computer program that can learn and make decisions. And if we break up this statement, the AI-based programs are going to have some input. They are going to process the input, and many times the thing that is going to process the input data is called as model in AI or machine learning terms, and then we are going to have some sort of output. And you may be wondering that this all sounds very simple, but what about these intimidating terms like neural networks, computer vision, deep learning? As a matter of fact, all of these are just categorization of machine learning, and we can follow the same systematic approach that we described in last slide, where we have got input data and we are going to see that how we can divide or categorize AI into multiple subfields on the basis of types of input data. For example, if the input data is mostly textual, Then the field of AI concerned or related to it is natural language understanding or natural language processing. If it is related to images or computer or vision related data, then it is going to be called as computer vision, image processing, or image recognition. Lastly, there can be some further categorization depending upon the nature of the data. For example, in some cases, whatever we are trying to figure out or predict, we may have some test examples in which that answer is already there. But in some cases, those true answers may not be there. So let's see an example. But before that, a question for you. What do you think? How do humans learn?
From watching other humans?
Yeah, from watching other humans or from the observations, right? So exactly. So this is the same concept that is followed in AI as well. So AI models are going to look at some of the examples and they are going to try to extract patterns from them, and then they are going to apply those patterns on unseen data. But that is only one part of the thing. Humans learn by mistake as well. So just as an example, let's suppose that I give you a problem that you are going to be given the experience of different people in a number of years, and you have to predict that what is going to be the salary of that particular person. And this is the data that is already provided to you. So let's suppose, or if I ask you that just by looking at this particular data, what type of trend you can fit on top of this particular data? Is it like a circular trend? Is it like a quadratic trend? Is it some other trend that you can fit on this data? Any volunteer? Azan? Linear. Or in other words, we are going to have a line. So let's suppose we put on this particular line as the line that is going to be a good example or good fit of the data that we have. So I said that we are going to learn by examples. We are going to look at the data and we are going to use another thing, that is the mistakes that we are making. What about the mistake? Is it a good accurate trend line that we are having? Are we accurately capturing the trend that is there in the data? No. Why? It's too low. Or in other words, we are having a lot of errors over here. So what we can do, we can shift the trend line a little bit. We can keep on moving the trend line until we reach this particular line, which is like the near perfect fit. I am calling it near perfect fit. But the point over here is that AI is using all of the concepts that we use in our normal life. We learn by observations, we learn by our mistakes, and on the basis of that, we try to come up with solutions to different problems. And as a matter of fact, what we all did right now is one of the very basic machine learning problem that even the PhD level courses start with, and that machine learning problem is called as linear regression. Let's consider one other example. What if we don't know the desired output or true answer? And as an example, let's suppose that I give you a basket of fruits in which there are apples, oranges, or lemons. And I just want you to arrange the fruits so that apples are together, oranges are together. How will you do it in real life?
Take them all out of the basket and then put them into separate piles?
How will you put them into separate piles? Or let's suppose that you cannot take them out of the basket, you can just touch them, let's say. How will you put them into separate piles? Or what is the basic thing that you will follow to put them into different piles? Visual recognition is one. Anyone, any young person? Yeah, but how we are going to sort them? As a matter of fact, we already have some sort of sorting in this room as well. All the men are over here, all the females are over here. So we are going to follow the same principle. We are going to look at the characteristics of the data that we have. In this particular case, we are talking about different type of fruits, and we are just going to rearrange them according to their shape, let's say, according to their color in some cases. So this is another example of a very famous machine learning field, and you can call it a technique as well, that when we don't know the exact true answer, we are going to group the data according to their characteristics, and this is called as unsupervised machine learning as well. And some of the famous algorithms used for it are called as clustering algorithms as well. So now coming back to one more example, or two more examples I should say. So in some cases we may have a linear trend between the input and output that we are trying to predict, and in some cases the trend may not be linear. As a matter of fact, if we talk about the salary versus experience trend, I think it is not going to be a linear trend, because as you are going to be gaining more and more experience, the trend is going to be non-linear. So in some cases we may have some linear processing models, and in some cases we may have a non-linear model, and artificial neural networks is one very popular type of non-linear modeling algorithm. So let's see, or can anyone tell me how many flags are there in this particular image? A very easy question. 8. Can somebody tell me how you figured out 8? How do you, human eyes sees different images and finds patterns in it? And this particular question is for students in the audience. As a matter of fact, students are not interacting a lot. Professionals are winning at this time. Any student? Yusuf, what do you say?
With their eyes?
But let's suppose this is a smaller image. What if there was a very big image? Size of this particular wall, let's say. How will you count the number of flags? Line by line. So we are going to start in one line. We are going to have a linear scan. We are going to be looking at something that resembles a flag. And then if we see something like that, we are going to count or increment that we have seen one particular flag. And this particular thing or technique is the basis of a very famous algorithm that is called as convolutional neural networks. And I am presenting a very simplistic picture. As a matter of fact, there are going to be multiple neurons or multiple layer of neurons performing this task. But the concept is the same. Just follow what human beings do, how human beings are seeing at different images and trying to extract patterns. We are going to use the same thing. And this technique is called as convolutional neural networks. And this technique is used in many, many different applications. Can anyone tell me a very famous application of convolutional neural networks that some of you would have used today as well? Google Maps, or I don't have any association with IRS, but how many of you have a Tesla? So the full self-driving or automated driving in Tesla uses some variants of convolutional neural networks as well. And last example, let's suppose that if I give you this particular data and I say to you that in future if I only say or tell you the first two words, what is the most likely word that is going to come afterwards? Subhan? Why? But let's suppose that computers don't know from scratch how to speak in English, right? We are going to be providing them some input data. We are going to be providing them some errors that we are going to be making. What about computers? How would computers, or how can we make computers predict the right next word according to this particular data that we are showing?
They would give some context from the data.
Anyone else? Azan.
Just based on the majority of the searches, most have the word the right after what is.
So we are going to see that what was the most frequent word after what is. And in this particular case, it was the. And what is the most frequent word after the? Natural. And we can go on go on like that. And this is a very basic concept behind the language models. And all of these companies that we are talking about, OpenAI, Anthropic, DeepSeek, what they are developing at the very base? A language model. And we have already got a conceptual overview of the language models. In interest of time, I am going to be moving forward a little bit faster. But as I was telling you, that the purpose of this particular presentation is to motivate you, to make you aware that you cannot avoid AI right now. But the concepts behind AI are not very, very complex. So let us have some of the questions that may come to your mind, that AI seems a very complex topic. So the questions in your mind can be whether we need advanced mathematical knowledge to use AI, whether we need some special setup like high-end GPUs, which maybe some of you already have for your gaming setups at home, and what about the programming knowledge. So about the first two questions over here, if you have got advanced mathematical knowledge or if you have a GPU at home, it is going to be good, but it is not must to have it to get started with AI. The interesting question that many people ask is that what level of programming expertise do we need? And I am having a quote over here by a very famous guy. How many of you know this guy, by the way? The Tesla people should know it, right? So this was the guy who is behind the automated self-driving, and this is one particular tweet by him. The hottest new programming language is what? And we all know that programming language, or the most commonly used programming language in the last year was Python, then it was JavaScript, Java, C++ are going to be the other languages. But what do you think is going to be behind this question mark over here? Or what do you need to get involved in AI in the age of today? And if someone from ladies want to answer this question, what do you think? Sorry? Python. If you are good in Python, you have a head start. You can do wonders in AI. But anyone else from here? Exactly, English. So we are living at this point where we don't need to have a programming knowledge to get started with AI. We can just use some English language prompts or questions, pass it on to different AI models, and this can be a good start. And this is like a good segue to our next session as well, where we are going to present some demos how we can get started with AI. But before that, I will like Brother Lake to wrap up this presentation.
No, I think that's good. I just want to see if you have any question at this point of time, right, before we wrap up this session. Maybe you can take one or two questions very quickly. There's one statement that I'll make. Just know that if you're planning to build a career in AI, you definitely need to understand coding. You definitely need to understand mathematics, right? But for as Brother Reza talked about, you don't actually need to know coding as well as the mathematics. If you want to use AI, it's basically for general purpose. But if you want to really go deep, be an AI engineer or data scientist, mathematics is the fundamental stuff, right? So people who are actually aspirational AI engineers, data scientists, that's an important area. Anyways, we'll take just maybe one or two questions so that we can wrap up the session, and we'll pass it on to some exciting sessions. Good.
So these days, everyone talks about is just LLMs.
Yeah.
It's all Gen AI, ChatGPT, DeepSeek, and all that. But before the large language models came on the horizon, we were all about like predictive intelligence or classification and other things. So my question is, do you think like LLMs are going to replace those traditional AI models, or is that going to just still stay relevant?
I'll let you answer first.
So some of those things are going to be replaced by LLMs for sure, but some of those concepts are going to be reused within LLMs as well. So LLMs are like, as the name say, large language models, and there is a lot of investment going on to train them as well. And that investment is justified because they are going to be able to replace quite a few traditional AI models. So some of those things are going to get replaced, but not everything. And we will have to go into details for this particular question. But in some cases, you may not have the inference power available to you or compute power available to you. And in those cases, maybe the large language models are not going to serve, or they are not going to be the right thing to use over there. Even right now on the mobile devices, you cannot use the strongest or largest language models. You still have to resort to some low end or slightly less capable machine learning model. I would just wrap up my answer in this way, that it depends upon the requirements. Large language models are going to replace quite a few of traditional machine learning elements, but the concepts that you may have learned if you have been using those models can be reused in the pipelines for using large language models or training large language models as well.
Hi. I agree. I mean, and we're going to just stop. Sorry, Amar Bhai. I mean, we got the direction from the Amir here to stop. In simple terms, predictive AI will not replace generative AI. I mean, predictive AI is actually part of the generative AI itself. And I do feel there's a lot of usage of predictive AI in the context of what we do. But again, it's a lot more, we need to peel the onion to kind of go and answer that question. We can take it offline. With that being said, I'm going to hand it over back to you, Zahir Bhai. I think
I will just like to have one last comment, and we are going to have another QA session towards the end. One of my most favorite quote about AI is that it is said in the industry that software is eating the world, machine learning or AI is eating the software, and now the large language models are eating machine learning or AI as well. So if you are in the field, you must be riding the wave rather than avoiding AI. So that is the conclusion of this particular session, and now I will hand it over to Brother Sami or Brother Zee.
Yeah, no, I think we are good. So this is our first segment of the first section of the program presentation. This is followed by the demos now. I'd like to invite Sami and Khurshid Bhai. The reason why I said we'll take questions at the end, because we have 30 minutes for the Q&A. So if we take the questions after each session, it will actually, we cannot complete everything. So that's the idea. We formatted this program, inshallah. So once we finish the demos, I will directly ask Mansoor Bhai to get into this panel, inshallah. Okay, Jazakallah khair. Thank you, amazing, thank you. Okay, I'll do that. Where is the, yeah, it's here. So here, you can,
we don't need to flip, right? We can just, we need to go to the slide, to the slideshow.
Yeah.
We don't need that.
Okay.
So thank you so much, guys, for coming over. Now that Raza and Like Bhai have shown the basics and the theory around AI on a high level, we want to show you what you can do with AI, right? And as Raza showed, the hottest new programming language for AI is English, right? And this, by the way, was a tweet from 2 years back, right? So that's when ChatGPT came out. And now you can imagine that with time, things are becoming more and more, the AI is becoming more and more effective, right? And the language models are becoming better, which means that their ability to code is also better. So in relation to that, we thought it would be nice to show you three or four different use cases, small use cases of AI, both very simple ones and maybe slightly more complex ones. And I'm sure many of you in the audience have already used some of these, but just for everyone, I will start with the simplest possible demo, right, where we are basically just prompting ChatGPT, right? So maybe Aliva, you can go ahead and talk about this.
Yeah, Assalamualaikum. Yeah, so we're going to start with some simple demos, right, like which could be used in day-to-day use. And for this, you don't need any technical background. You just need to go to a website, chatgpt.com, type some English statements, and you'll get an answer. So the first example is, say you want to basically, you have a son or a daughter who wants to go on a leave, so you want to request the school for some leaves. So you just explain. So you just explain the problem statement in this chat, and then so it's basically English, right? So what you're saying is, my daughter needs to visit overseas for a family function for 2 weeks. Help me write a letter to the school requesting permission for leave. She's in grade 5 in the Acme school. She'll be away from February 10th to February 20th. And then you just submit this. So what you're getting is a pre-made application for leave, right? With the correct format and everything. There are some placeholders like address and everything because you didn't specify, but if you specify that, it's going to fill all that for you and also give like a full complete application for leave. Now this is a very simple example. I mean, there are more use cases you can do, and the more detail you provide, the better the output is. right? If you provide more details about the address, it'll give the address. You provide more details about specifics of the situation or things like that, it will also give you that output. So this is one of the application of AI. And if you see, right, I mean, you don't have to know any technology. You just have to know English, and then you need to understand your problem and what you need from this, and you just explain it in plain English and you get output. Similarly, there are other use cases like, say, someone is pressed on time and they want to look for a particular recipe. You just provide your dietary requirement, you just provide limitations around your ingredients, your time limit, and then you just explain it to the ChatGPT, and it will give you a recipe with exact steps, ingredients, and everything. These are just two examples, but there are like many more things you can do.
So, for example, you could also have, for example, if you have a job interview tomorrow, right? You can ask ChatGPT to act as a job interviewer, right? For example, if you have a software engineering interview, right? And then you can practice, right? So these are just basic, obvious examples, right, of the use of ChatGPT, and we can go into prompt engineering, different use cases. But really, there's so much power in these very basic prompt engineering of these models already, right? And as you can see here, OpenAI has already introduced search as well, right? So you can, in case I have a question, for example, give me the best price for a holiday in Spain or anything like that, right? I can use the search tool as well, right? To make sure that I'm not just using the data that the language model has been trained on, but also more recent information, right? So this is more of a basic use case, right? But let's say, just as we were discussing, right, that English is the hottest new programming language, right? So how does that actually work out? Can we see that play out in real life, talking to a language model?
So yeah, so this is another example where this is a little more advanced, but again, here all you're doing is basically giving instruction to the language model or to this tool in English. So basically here, this is more exciting for, I think, the younger folks. So here, what we are saying is we want to generate a browser-based game of spaceship, where a spaceship is traveling and dodging and shooting asteroids, and each asteroid shot gives 1 point. A collision causes loss of health, and we are just saying that 5 collision will cause the spaceship to explode and the game will be over. So here we just basically define the rules of the game and how you want to navigate the ship. And once you submit, what is going to happen is the AI tool is actually going to generate the code. So without having to know, like any programming language, you are basically able to build a game. You can build any application. You can also similarly build websites and presentations.
So
and we will see this game also in action now.
So the previous application, the previous prompts we had put in were in ChatGPT, but this one is in Anthropic Cloud, right? And most of these LLMs are on the same level. I think maybe we need to zoom out so that the
it's not visible.
The spaceship is not visible.
Yeah. But yeah, spaceship, I think it got zoomed
Okay, so
out.
this is actually a nice example as well of when things might not fully work, right? LLMs are also non-deterministic. So, often you will see that even in live demos sometimes, they will show recorded sessions, right? And the reason for doing that is that you have, you don't always know what the next word is going to be predicted, right? Will it be the specific word that was predicted last time? And that's because there's a probability distribution over which the response is provided, right? You have imagine the universe of all the words that the language model knows. It gives a probability on what is the next word. For example, if you said what is, then it gives the probability of whether it should be the or a or whatever, right? And in some cases, it will give a higher probability to and in some cases it will give higher probability to the, right? So in that sense, it's not, you don't know whether if you prompt it once, whether it will be the same response next time from the model,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and even when you are getting a response, like for a simple things like a recipe or a task, you can always, when you try to when you ask it to retry, you may get like a totally different answer.
Yeah. But here already you see that there's a simple game that has been built just based on a text prompt in English, right? And that's remarkable. That technology was not available to society 5 years back.
And for like students, right, who want to build a website, just go there, go to lovable.ai, type your requirement, type your headings, and then it'll give you a website.
Can you ask Anthropic to customize the spaceship?
You
First
can
we need to
actually.
see it and then we can try
Yeah,
customizing it.
you can actually, you can.
But you can.
You can.
Let's try it out.
Ask for a red spaceship.
What is
Red
that you're
color.
writing? We can't see here. What is that
Oh.
you're writing?
Yeah, we're asking it to change
We're
the spaceship.
basically saying like, I don't like the spaceship, I want to make it bigger, red colored. Right? So let's see what happens if I ask that. It will start to modify the code, right?
It already did. Yeah, we still can't see the spaceship.
We still can't
I think
see
it's
the
a resolution. maybe.
Yeah, it's a resolution problem, but we cannot see the spaceship here. But anyway, so the point is that you can basically code in English here, right? And you can build games. And we will talk about this later in this session and coming sessions afterwards, and maybe have more complex demos as well. But basically with what is called agentic use cases, what you will start seeing is that you can build much more complex applications where there's an AI agent that you tell it, okay, that this is what the application I want to build. It will start building, then it will interrupt its session, and having built a simple version, it will ask you, do you like what I've built so far, and what do I need to make changes with, right? And then it will continue building more and more complex versions. So this is a game demo, right? But let's see even a more complex use case. So and this complex use case is basically also coming from Claude, which is going to be about computer use. So basically what's going to happen here is we're going to ask an LLM basically, and with access to tools, to do a certain task for us. Tasks that we do with a computer today. So for example, you might want to, give me a second. For instance, you might want to search for, whether there's AI events happening in MCC, right? And see what's going on there, right, with respect to that. And see what's happening, and ask Claude Computer to go ahead and search it up for you. And remember, this search is different from the search that ChatGPT is doing inside when you're calling ChatGPT with search engine. Here, what is happening is it actually has a computer access, right? Where it's basically a multimodal system where it has computer access the way you have computer access, and it's typing the way you would type, right? So it's going into MCC eSpay and searching on Google, right now as we speak, and it's looking up, okay, is there any AI event, right? It will go in and click into that AI event and see, okay, what is the information I can find, and it's taking screenshots and sending it back to the language model, right? To show it that this is what I found so far. Parse this and tell me what is the next step. Should I click somewhere? Should I just take in the content in here and just show it to the user, or should I continue in a loop, right? And now what is happening is, so you can see that here. So we started with asking it to search for MCC East Bay artificial intelligence related events and show me a summary of any initiatives coming up, right? So you will see that it knows that it has access to Firefox, right? And it first takes the first action. It calls a tool, which is called a computer tool here, right? And that computer tool basically, it takes the action of taking a screenshot with that tool, right? So it takes the screenshot, it looks at the screenshot and says, okay, now this is the language model coming in, right? Having seen the data on, that this is the screenshot that I have in front of me, I need to click on the address bar and search for the relevant information. So just the way you would when you look at a screen and say, okay, I need to go and search for this, right? So here's the address bar, let me go there. So now it's doing a physical move of the mouse, right? Again, it calls a tool. The language model is calling a tool, right? It says, I want to move the mouse, and I know what coordinate position I want to move it to, right? Which is the address bar location, right? And it moves that to that coordinate position, and then performs a left click, right? And says, okay, I now need to add this search term, because that was the request, that Muslim Community Center, East Bay, artificial intelligence. Is there something happening, right? And it goes in and looks at, okay, what is the next result that I get back? And now, based on that, okay, what is it saying? It's basically indicating that there are some AI team tables that we had done in Juma earlier, and then there's a conference planned in 2025. It's indicating in late 2025 we have multiple conferences that are going to take place. So apparently it's picking up information that something is going to happen in late 2025 as well. It didn't pick up the data on this having happened, that this event is also happening today. So sometimes it can also do that. And again, this is the non-deterministic nature of the tool, right? That sometimes it will go into the right page, sometimes it will go into the wrong page, and you really have to obviously see, you'll have to see, okay, is it really doing it correctly or not? So these are very powerful tools, and they can also be very brittle, right? So you have to use them with care, and if you do use them with care and really leverage them, you can build very complex applications on top of them.
Yeah, one of the interesting examples we ran earlier was basically told it to go onto the internet and then find all the latest iPhone deals and just give a
I think
comparison.
we can do that too, yeah. Well, I guess we're out of time soon, so.
Yeah.
We have time? If we have time, I want maybe show more interesting applications as well, right? So this is an agent inside one of the companies that are building agents is called Replit, right? And this agent, you can just talk to it and tell it, okay, I want to build something right now, right? Let's say, for example, do you have an example that you want to try? I can try the one that we were trying, right? I want to build a Muslim prayer app
Yeah.
for Pleasanton, California. Also show me the nearest mosques. Let's see how it interprets it, right? And now this is what is called an agent. It will start. There's a language model. That language model is connected to Python, basically, which is an actual coding language, right? And various other languages as well, right? And it will. It's talking to the user. There's an agent that's talking to the user, a language model that's talking to the user and asking the user, okay, what do you want me to build? Right, and you start. You're talking to it in English language. It's responding in English language, right? So you can indicate, right? I want to build an initial prototype with, let's say, detailed mosque profiles, right? Or user reviews for mosques, right? And it will start coding, right? And it will this time code in steps. It will continue coming back to you, right? Okay, this is what I've built so far. Do you like what I've built? Do you want me to change something? And so on, right? And you can see here that the code is getting written, right? So it's pulled up MCC East Bay already here, right?
Two mosques.
And an interesting part of this particular implementation of agents, by the way, is that they've also introduced rollback, right? And rollbacks are there as checkpoints in the system that, okay, again, the non-deterministic nature of language models and agents, right? That sometimes they can go wrong. So you say, okay, the previous state of the system was actually better, so I want to go back to that and retry a prompt, right? Because sometimes prompts can go wrong. Right, so it allows you to do that in this case, right? So as we speak, it's building, it takes some time to build in this case. It won't build in one go, just as Claude was. Oh yeah, sure. Sure, let me go and give that example as well.
Okay, built.
So it came back with an example here, right? So this one is a more a personal example that I was trying out. Maybe I can pull that up for you guys, where I was building something for my daughter where she was where she could talk to different inanimate objects, right? For example, rock, or a sun or moon, right? Give me a second. Let me find the right. Yeah, here it is.
To water.
So that's my daughter. She's sitting somewhere here. She's sleeping right now. But she's speaking to a tree here right now. So this is basically an app built on top of an LLM as well.
I also like to water flowers.
That's wonderful. Flowers love water, just like we need food and drinks to grow strong. When you water them, you're helping them stay happy and colorful. Do you have a favorite flower that you like to help grow?
Well, I like these white flowers that are also red. These flowers are inside the house, and they do need a little bit of water to grow.
Oh, that's wonderful. White flowers and red flowers are so pretty. White flowers can remind us of snow, while red flowers can look like the sun. Just like how we have different favorite colors, flowers come in lots of colors too. What's your favorite flower?
This flower is my favorite because it has a nice smell.
Oh, that's wonderful. Flowers have special scents that attract butterflies and bees. They help plants grow by spreading seeds. What color is your favorite flower?
So it goes on, right? But these are applications. And by the way, this application, obviously I was coding on top of the LLM writing the code, right? And I had to modify things, but it was 90% written with an agent and an LLM, right? With a ChatGPT type LLM, right? So obviously you do need at some point, if you're building very complex applications, you need some amount of coding skills. But just as we saw with that browser game, just a simple prompt already works, right?
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khair. MashaAllah. So the idea, I just reiterate, the idea behind showing these small demos and a medium complex and then very complex is to show how it can be used. And MashaAllah, our team is there who can explore more when we go forward. Today, being the first session, we want to give that gist of it, how it's going to start, inshallah ta'ala. So with this second session, Jazakallah khair, thank you very much, Kharisha. And I request Mansoor Bhai to take the stage now. He is the one thing which I missed, and I talked to Brother Laik also about it. We have not introduced Samir Bhai and Khurshid Bhai. They just jumped on it. So if you can take 1 minute of your credentials, and Khurshid Bhai, if you can do your one, because in the previous slides we did not have your details. So as audience, as a team, you can give your introduction. And Mansoor Bhai, that also applies for the next section when we are coming for the panel discussion. We'll have individuals have their credentials, and so that inshallah. So what do you mind?
Yeah, so I'm Sami. I've basically been in industry for about 10 years now in AI and machine learning. Currently, I'm working at a company called ASML. Many people don't know about it. Just by show of hands, does anyone know about ASML? Oh, nice. They're starting to know. It's much better. So I worked there as a senior machine learning engineer, and previously I did my PhD in machine learning, mostly in Europe. So undergrad, master's, and also PhD in Europe. Then I moved here a few years back. And very glad to talk to all of you.
Assalamu alaikum. So myself, Khurshid Ali, people usually call me Ali. I'm currently working at Cisco. I'm a principal engineer. We are mostly into the observability and monitoring space. So when you're an application and things go wrong, we monitor your applications and also your servers, etc., to see what's wrong in that. So far, like humans used to basically troubleshoot those, but we are also basically incorporating AI and is to make it easy to pinpoint where the problem is and also to predict if there's going to be a problem. So that's what we do. And my background, I've been an engineer like 20 years now. Started building on like ASP, then worked on like a bunch of programming languages, worked on Android and those kind of things. And few years back started learning AI. I'm still learning, like, because things are changing every day. And I'm very excited to be part of this team and basically also help the community in basically getting familiar with AI and basically getting educated. And just to point it out, like we have some more examples on the demo which we wanted to show, but we could not. But if anyone is interested, they could take those and basically try it at home.
We can just go back to the slide where we have demos.
Yeah. If someone wants to take a photograph.
Yeah, the highlighted one was being shown, but the one which is not highlighted are the ones we have. Example. Inshallah, we'll share this on the website also. We'll have it. Yeah.
Jazakallah. Yeah.
You can get started. And give your credentials first.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Mansoor Khan. Those two acts are going to be tough to follow. And we are between our session and Maghrib and lovely dinners at home. So these are tough acts to follow, but we'll do our best. As I said, my name is Mansoor Khan. I was recently CEO of a company called Veltris, which we grew from 50 people to about 1,000 people in 5 years. We took an AI-first approach back in 2019. We grew to about 500 people, raised capital from private equity, acquired another business of 500 people, and 1,000 people is when I integrated the organizations and I left. Right now, I'm an investor in a company called Whispering.ai, where we are trying to teach the common man how to use AI in their day-to-day life. I'm also board of a company called Career Manzil, where we're helping individuals reach their career destinations and goals. And Samir Bhai will talk about something called, today is an era where services can be delivered as a software. And I'm funding a few startups in that domain where we tend to take regular services like HR, finance, accounting, and marketing and try to deliver them as a software. So that's my background. I have with me an esteemed panel. I'd like to invite them on stage. And the format that we've chosen is that they will briefly introduce themselves and take an anchor position, which I will prompt them. And we'll try and make this session as interactive as possible, as lively as possible. And we'll stay on board after the panel as well to take any questions from all of you. I would request the panelists to please come on stage. Sister Alia, Khurshid Bhai, Arpit Bhai, Raza, and Sami. Please. Sister Alia, move this side. Yeah. Khurshid Bhai. So we'll get started. One of the assumptions that we made as part of this panel is that among the audience, there will be people from diverse backgrounds, people who are just curious about AI, to students who are thinking about what to do in AI, to professionals who have been either want to get into AI as a job or impacted by AI, entrepreneurs, tech founders, right? So we try to have the format very diversified to cater to the diverse interests of the audience here. And I'll start prompting the questions so that we can cater to a very diverse set of audience. So let me start with Sister Alia. Sister Alia, I'm sure in the audience there are people here who are just getting to know about AI, trying to figure out what they can do. Maybe if you can take a minute or two to introduce yourself, but also take an anchor position of AI for the common man. What should they look for? What they can do today? maybe we can start with that, and then we can move on from that perspective.
Assalamu alaikum. When Brother Zahir came to me and told me about this initiative, I was very excited because it's something that has been on my mind for a couple of years right now. And just to give you my background, I am a senior director for a financial technology company in San Francisco. I work for SS&C Technologies, and I run the customer support organization there. I do not have a technical background. I don't even have any background in coding, artificial intelligence. I graduated from UC Davis in international relations and Japanese. This was back in 1999. And that's when the first disruption happened with the tech industry. That's when all the dot-com boom happened. And suddenly I found myself at SS&C Technologies 25 years ago as a customer support representative. And here I am right now. I've been with the company for many years right now. And to be honest, I've been pretty nervous and anxious. I mean, if you look at the news, all you see is this tech company is laying off people. We just saw that Workday laid off 8% of its workforce due to investing in AI, Meta, Salesforce, you name it. And the reason why I'm here today and the reason why I have an interest in learning more about AI is that I don't want to be blindsided and not find myself with a job. And so I started looking online to see, like, how can I learn more about AI? And there's just so much information online that it can be very overwhelming. And so I started looking at Coursera, there's MIT, there's LinkedIn Learning, there's so much information out there. And you know, you have to start right now. I remember having this conversation with an IT executive last summer, and I said to him, you know, what do I need to do to learn more about AI? And he's like, you don't need to be a developer, you need to learn how to use it. And so that's why I'm here today.
Jazakallah. Khurshid Bhai, I know you've been part of Cisco and many organizations in the past. Maybe a minute or two to introduce yourself, but also the positioning that I want you to take is that among the audience you will have many people who are looking for jobs in the AI space. I'm sure there are some people who got impacted. In general, what is your observation from the job market perspective for fresh grads, for experienced people? How should they look at adopting AI to better themselves? If you can take that position while introducing yourself, that will be of great help.
You can take this. Yeah, Assalamu alaikum. I think I already introduced myself. So I'm working at Cisco. I've done mix. We build observability products and
no, it's not.
okay. Yeah, and we're trying to use AI in our product like everyone else, I think, in the industry. Trying to see how we can take advantage of that. And coming back to the point which Mansoor Bhai mentioned, right, like for new job seekers or new students who are still studying and are interested in AI and in general, basically in tech, my advice is basically start getting familiar, start educating yourself, and also keep in mind that this is not the only change that is going to happen like throughout your career, like those who are especially starting. There will be a lot of changes, right? I mean, AI is something which is kind of hard now. Few years down the line, there may be something else, right? So we have to keep an open mind and be adaptable. Keep that in mind that things will change. So we shouldn't be like stuck on one thing and say, I'm not going to basically learn anything new, but keep an open mind. See what's happening. Keep yourself updated in what's happening in the world, in your specific area, and what are the new things happening in terms of technology. How you can take advantage of that. And for people who are impacted, I think so. Yes, there is disruption, but like any disruption, right? There's always challenges and opportunities. So people got laid off, and that's sad. But again, for them, I would say that educate ourselves, right? Like, see what's happening, especially in the space of AI. See how it can complement your skills. Even if you're not technical, like Sister mentioned, there is still a lot of ways you can use AI, right? Not just if you're not a developer, that's fine, but you can still use AI to make your life easier, your work easier, and then maybe this will open opportunities for new ideas, new businesses even, right? So that's my basically 2 cents for the audience.
Jazakallah. Arpit Bhai, you have a phenomenal career in startups. For the budding entrepreneurs in the audience, minute to introduce yourself, but also talk about what's happening in the startup community, the VC world, the investment world. What should entrepreneurs be looking forward to in terms of AI journey and building startups in the AI space?
Sure. Hey, I'm Arpit Patel. I've done, this is like my 4th startup. First, I was a founding engineer. Second, I was a founding engineer. Name of the company was AppDynamics, which got sold to Cisco. Third one, I started my own as a co-founder, Bicycle.ai. Then again, joined as a founding engineer in Traceable. I run, then there's next one that is coming on Monday. So one of the key thing, if you look at it, right, in 2024, there's a 80% increase in AI funding in general. If you see just in United States, it's a $265 billion of funding. So if you see like everything that is getting funded, 65% of it is actually going on AI space. And if you see the breakdown of it, it's more on the software and the information, then the generative AI, then the AI infrastructure. And there's a lot of vertical specific AI that is actually picking up. Like, can I apply AI on, the fashion industry and recommend dresses like the brother Reza mentioned, right? Like, look, there's a 6-figure, job that is there. Then autonomous car, people are now going in and trying to see, like, what is most interesting is every single industry, they are an established player who took, like, let's say 10 or 20 years to build the company. Now, because of AI and other thing, they're just up for disruption. That's why VCs are doubling down and saying, look, I'm just going to put more funding because there are established players who can get disrupted. So, and AI infrastructure, like NVIDIA's stock, every single GPU providers, right, their thing, and then the generative AI, those are the things that's happening.
So if you were to summarize that, infrastructure, applications, Samir Bhai talked about agents, are those the 3 dominant areas?
Yes.
Anything else that you'd like to add?
I would say, so if you are like thinking about like doing a startup, try to see like, you don't have to force fit the AI, but try to see like, how AI can improve and how it can do it, and then prototype the idea, right? Because of AI, your programming language is English. So you could actually play with it and do it and have a working prototype. That would just do it and try to do it in those segments, like, application area, like, one of the famous example is people innovated refrigerator, but inventor of refrigerator hasn't made that much money than people who actually came up with sugared cola, like, Pepsi, Coke and other things. So it's like, how do you use AI to build your startup and solve a use case? That's what I would say, like, will be the hot thing that will actually get you to the funding.
Raza Bhai, thank you for the fantastic presentation. You've been part of a few large companies, Microsoft, Google, Amazon. They have built a lot of SaaS applications for enterprises as well. And this is for brothers who've been part of enterprise application development in their career. I quote from Satya Nadella where he mentioned that SaaS, as we know, is getting disrupted. So tell us about what's happening in the enterprise world. Tell us about people who are working in ERP, CRM. How should they look at AI and how should they adopt AI? What should they work on next to be part of this new wave of AI agents disrupting SaaS?
So there are quite a few sub-questions in your question, so I would like to go through them one by one. So first of all, when we talk about the SaaS space, so the SaaS space is exactly when we are going to be delivering different software experience through cloud or internet So that particular thing has already changed in my opinion. As a matter of fact, right now the focus has shifted from just providing some sort of service through the cloud or internet. Rather, the focus is on agents that are going to be communicating with different softwares on the cloud. And the focus is how we can develop more interesting AI-based systems that can communicate with multiple services, multiple softwares, and then provide utility to different enterprises. So it is slightly more aggressive to say that SaaS is totally dead, but has evolved for sure. And the focus in the enterprise and industry is to come up with some sort of automation that is going to be applicable in each and every space. For example, one of my recent project was related to coming up with research agents that can automate the work related to researching about different companies' profiles or their positioning in the space that they are working on. So I would say the focus is moving away from individual enterprise apps. Rather, the focus is towards AI systems that can communicate with more than one app or more than one software. Secondly, you talked about how the professionals working in this area can benefit from AI. So I can quote a personal example over here. So around 3-4 months ago, I was working on a project, and it was an AI-based project. And AI-based project depend a lot on training data. And due to some constraints, the training data was not available to us. As a matter of fact, we had some training data, but we didn't have the labels or the answers for the training data. And we were under some constraints or deadlines to deliver in that particular project. So I did a very simple experiment similar to what was shown in the demos by Brother Sami and Brother Ali. So I just used an Amazon internal LLM and asked it to create an app that is going to annotate the data for me. And that app came out really well. I had to go through a few different iterations on top of it. But in the end, what I'm trying to say is that through the use of LLMs, I was able to speed up the work that may have required 1 or 2 dedicated engineers working for 3 or 4 weeks. So I was able to do it within 3 days span. And this is what I wanted to convey as a message in my presentation as well, that we need to use AI just like our buddy or our sidekick that is going to be helping us in many different tasks. So that is true for individuals, that is true for enterprises, that is true for startups. So the earlier that we start using AI, the more beneficial that it is going to be. So in short, all of the companies are using AI to automate everything that is automatable. So in future, AI is going to be part of everything that we are going to see around it, in enterprises, in individual experience.
Thank you so much. I'd like to move to Sami Bhai. Sami Bhai, again, I'm quoting from 2 famous personalities in the AI world, Jensen Huang and Satya Nadella. In one of their conversations, they mentioned that the ultimate test for AI is in the physical world. Physical objects that you can touch, feel, play around with. Enterprise AI is, data is in one place, it's text data, it's very simple to aggregate the data and run AI models. But take a point of view on how is AI impacting the physical world, the physical machines that we see. What do you see progression of AI in that world? And for people who are working in those industries like manufacturing, agriculture, pharma, what should they look forward to from an AI perspective? If you can take that point, that will help the audience.
Yeah, I think it's a very exciting time in the industry, I would say, in AI, like with AI coming up. There was a quote from Andrew Ng, who was a very famous personality in AI, and he had this quote that AI is the new electricity. And 10 years back, maybe people were not able to visualize what he meant, right? But now it's very clear, right, that you have whole new industries that are getting disrupted by AI, right? And already in the last, I would say, 10 to 15 years, we've started to see this, right? With talking about physical AI in the physical world, you have Teslas that are just driving basically on their own, right? And this is unimaginable. It was 15 years back, it was unimaginable to think that you would have computer vision models that could be able to, process such massive information coming from the physical world, right? Cameras and sensors that are on the car which is driving at 70 miles per hour, right? And be able to make precise prediction on what needs to be done. Because driving seems like once we are able to, in the beginning, of course, when we start to drive or when we turn 16 or 18, it takes us a lot of conscious effort, right, to be able to figure out how to actually go around and navigate the road. But over time, it becomes an unconscious effort, right? And it may look like a very simple problem, right? But in effect, it's a really, really hard problem for a computer to handle, right? And we are seeing, just as with computer vision being used in cars and with Tesla as an example, we are seeing that as you have sensors and the data is coming from those sensors in agriculture, in the semiconductor industry, as you're able to leverage data now, right? Because you can use machine learning models that are both predictive AI as well as generative AI, starting mostly with predictive AI, where you're taking data and building some sort of intelligence on top of that data to be able to make predictions on how the world is going to look in the next moment. Because that's really the crux, right? No matter whether you're in agriculture, in semiconductors, or in finance, everybody wants to know what is going to be the NVIDIA stock value tomorrow, right? It's about predicting the future and using that prediction to be able to take our next steps as humans. And I think that's going to only increase with as a function of time.
Jazakallah. I'd just like to add one more technical jargon that you and I have discussed in the past, the notion of digital twins. You might have heard of digital twins. They're evolving from digital twins to intelligent twins, where every physical object will have a digital twin. For every Tesla that you drive, there's a digital twin of Tesla sitting in the cloud, and you can get monitored. So every physical device that you see, your refrigerator, your microwave, in time will have digital twins that can be managed and operated by remote operations. So that's another angle that
I would like to add a little bit to that, Naseem bhai. I think digital twins are a very, very exciting area, right? In the sense that once you can, right now, even if you look at like engineering simulations, right? Previously, what people have done, let's say, if they're building simulations of how an airplane is going to be flown, right? Or how you have electromagnetic simulations, right? Those are very physics-oriented simulations where you need to have very fundamental physical understanding of the fundamental equations, right? Like, for example, the Maxwell equations for electromagnetics. But really now what you're seeing with AI is that the AI can learn those equations, right? And once it's able to learn those equations, it can simulate very, very complex components on the micro scale. But then when you're able to do it on the micro scale, you're also able to build that out on a much bigger scale, right? You can have full systems that are emulated, full airplanes that are emulated, full cars that are emulated, and we're going to see those digital twins come into fruition in the next decade or so.
Jazakallah. I think what we've tried to do is cover the entire spectrum from the layman all the way to more advanced AI in the physical world. We'll try and make the next part a little bit more interactive. Maybe one question that I have to the entire panel, any of you can take a shot at this, is that one of the objectives of this program is to invite youth and give them positivity about the world that they're going to step into. I'm sure there are parents who are nervous about what the kids will graduate into and what they'll get into. There are kids who are figuring out what they need to do. Any advice, any comment from any of you to the youngsters who are graduating from colleges and what they should do in the world of AI? Any of you can take that, please.
I would say, like, just start using it, get familiar with it. Think of it any area, right, where, like, think of it, you have a tutor who is not going to yell at you. There is, machine doesn't figure out, like, they have no emotion. So you can ask, like, look, I want to learn Python. I want to learn, like, how to do data labeling. What are the references? Another thing. And you can, like, sooner you use it, think of it as over time, right? 10 years from now, there could be a startup which is $1 billion and just one person running it, because he or she has AI agents actually doing the job and other things. So use it to do your boring chores, try to learn it. I would just say, like, time is now, and you should just double click on it. Shouldn't matter, like, just the student. for like parents, for professionals. If you want to upskill your thing, you go use it.
Maybe make it more interactive. If you have questions for the panelists, please feel free to ask other questions to the panelists too. I'm sure you have some point of view.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to what Harpreet Bhai was saying. So like in everything we do, right, there is a top-down approach and there's a bottom-up, right? Bottom-up is where, like in talking in terms of AI, you want to understand the fundamentals, the mathematics and the algorithms and so on and so forth. That may be hard for a lot of people, right, because of the technical strength and what they have studied, etc. But using AI is possible for everyone, I think. Like even common person during the day-to-day tasks, if they can just take a moment and think, can I use some of these AI tools to basically ease my task? Like we showed the demo, right? Simple as writing a letter, like maybe writing an essay or trying to summarize a document, right? If there's a long document, you don't have time to look at it, but you just want to get the gist of it. Right, just submit it to a ChatGPT, tell it to summarize, it will do it for you, right? So things like that. You can start simple, and then as you get more familiar, you find your strengths, and then you work towards it, and that's how I think you'll become good at it, inshallah.
I have a question. As a parent, it's something that I'm very concerned about. The over-reliance on ChatGPT, and I see a shift where I agree it's a complementary skill. It's something that you should use to complement, what you lack in. However, the fear that I have as a parent and as, for this generation is, are we leaning too much on AI where humans are becoming incapable of, for example, asking the right questions? Because I think even for ChatGPT, you have to ask right questions. But if we are losing the cognitive ability as humans to, formulate a paragraph or to ask proper questions, where do you think where is the pendulum? Where should it stop? That's my question.
I'll request Raza Bhai to take this. Raza Bhai.
So we wanted to address this thing when we were talking about the intro to AI presentation, and if you remember, we had sort of a Skynet image or Terminator image that when we talk about AI, we talk about all of the negative things, and as a matter of fact, we should take AI as our companion. So that is the short answer, but so I am old enough to remember the time when internet was not that common, at least in my country. I mean, it was available, but parents had similar concern that what the kids are going to use with internet. So at the core, the technology is neutral. So we have quite a few side effects of using AI for a lot of things. And there is going to be some sort of regulation required from different agencies or companies, and at the same time at the parental level as well. But I think that there are already systems in place who can detect whether something was drafted totally by open AI sort models or whether there was some human involved. So there is going to be some self-learning or self-regulation that is going to be required by individuals, students, and there is going to be some sort of overseeing required from the parents as well. But I would say that we should not avoid AI just for this particular reason that we think that it is going to result in some sort of harms. Of course, the students may be over-relying on ChatGPT, but I can say it on the basis of my experience that there are already systems that are able to detect these sort of issues, whether it was a human-generated text or system-generated text. But we will have to educate our kids that you should use it as an assistant rather than totally relying on it. And I think we already have these things that both the instructors in different universities are now aware of these things, that students can rely on these tools and they are using some alternate mechanisms to figure out. So the point in short is that just focus on using AI as the electricity, as it was said, or a companion or a tutor. And we can say that even if someone was relying on additional tools even before AI, he or she may have got into problem. So it's a complex thing. Human beings are complex. there is a lot of self-regulation and supervision required over there, but I think that within 2 years we will see that there is no way we will be able to be writing or doing stuff without AI. So better become expert of it or master it right now than later on.
Yeah, I'll just add to that. One term that comes to my mind when I talk to a lot of CXOs in my work is the concept of guardrails. Every corporate has to draw guardrails and where they can use AI to their benefit. And I'm sure those concept of guardrails has to come to the home as well, where we teach our kids what guardrails to use to adopt AI. I thought it's relevant and I wanted to point that out. Again, Sumi Bhai, Arpit Bhai, please make it as interactive. Any questions for each other that you'd like to pose?
I actually have a question for Arpit Bhai. Arpit Bhai, what do you think in terms of how is AI going to change the nature of enterprises, the size of organizations, and are we going to see the massive size of corporations that we had in the 20th century? And what impact is it going to have on the individual who's no longer able to get a job, but now by using and leveraging AI, he can offer something to the market that big corporations could, slow-moving big corporations could not.
Yeah. I think, just in my opinion, what will happen is, lot of boring stuff, right, will actually get replaced by AI agent, but it will create new opportunity for humans who will do actually guardrailing the AI, safe AI usage policy, and other things. And there will be a lot of new jobs that will come on in the market, which will be on AI developer or the domain expert, right? The model, if you look at it, even the prayer app and other thing, right? Certain things were not there. It doesn't mean that UX job or UX designer job is going away or UI engineer's job is going away. Their job is their job becomes much easier. So similar to back in the day when computer came in, people were just resisting, saying, hey, we don't want to use computer, we don't want to use computer. If you look at it, there's a $265 billion investment right now, and that is all because computer. So you will see the change. Does it answer the question? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to just be cognizant of the time. We'll have one question and then we'll open it up for Q&A for the audience. Okay.
So my question is for Mansoor Bhai, and I'm sure for the majority of us who don't have a technical background, meaning we don't have a computer science background or an artificial intelligence background, you're a non-techie, how did you find a career in artificial intelligence?
Thank you so much. Interestingly though, I take pride that I've led a very technical organization for a non-technical person. I've tried to build my career on 3 pillars, and I'm sure this will resonate with a lot of people who want to build companies. One is keeping an eye on what's coming next in terms of technology innovation. I've always had the passion to understand what's happening in tech, what's happening in investments. The second thing is applying technology to solve business problems is a fundamental second trait. Very often I'm going into scenarios where I'm solving a business problem but using technology to solve it. So solving customer pain points has been my second trait that I've built upon. And third is, of course, the ability to build teams to solve those problems. I think if you have these fundamental traits overlying whatever skills you have underneath it, you can always be successful as an entrepreneur, as a CEO, as an executive. I built my career on those 3 fundamentals, and I'm hopefully that'll let you think through what you have to do to lead organizations and build startups. So that's my 2 cents on where I've evolved. Yeah. Any last question before we wrap up?
Yeah, I wanted to ask a question to Brother Sami. I know that he has been involved in training quite a few young professionals. So what has been your experience that how people who didn't have a lot of technical backgrounds, how they can get into the field, how they can start using AI, and how they can get started?
Yeah, so I think, the ability of people to get started it's so much easier now, right? Imagine some time back you had to learn, if you take a long-term view on history, even on computing, at some point you had to do very low level low-level coding, right? Assembly coding, right? Eventually Fortran came in, then C and C++ came in, then you had more and more layers on top of it, right? And people have been dreaming of a time where they could actually, talk to a computer in English. They're like, okay, there's a very old clip of Steve Jobs. He says, at some point, we'll just be able to talk to a computer where you can emulate Aristotle or emulate any figure from the past, right? And be able to talk to the computer as if it's that figure, right? So now we are in that stage, right? And coming back to the original question, I think there are courses in AI, right? If you go to deeplearning.ai, for example, there are like short courses, like 90-minute courses, where you will already get a sense of that particular discipline within AI, right? And obviously, you can with everything. Humanity has always been growing on the back of curiosity, right? And that will always remain forefront, even no matter what time we live in, post or pre-AI.
Yeah, I'll try and wrap it up with one observation. Being non-technical, I always used to feel that there could be a potential handicap that I did not know coding and technology. I would say now is the time with everybody's level set. You have an idea, you have an initiative, you don't have to know coding, you don't have to build 50, 100-member teams to write code for you. So it's a level playing field for anybody who has an idea and who want to experiment, to launch their own businesses, to build their own companies or excel in their careers. With that note, I'd like to wrap it up. We tried to cover a diverse range of topics. We are here for questions now, and hopefully we'll stay even after Isha if you need to stay. Zahir bhai, any last moments before we wrap up?
I think we're good now. We open for the questions. I'll take the mic
Yeah.
for questions.
Yep.
But that mic stays there on the stage. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Any questions? And we also have an expert sitting back, like bhai. If anyone of you ask him to answer, he'll reply. Best question. Okay, mashallah.
Assalamu alaikum, jazakallah khair for all the panelists. So I guess this is a question about entrepreneurship, and it's basically an ongoing dialogue that my brother-in-law and I have, like every time we meet at dinner or something, where like, on the one hand you can kind of pursue, so both of these things, there's two ways to contribute to AI. You can like work at these big tech companies, which we have some people representing that. Then we have people who've done like entrepreneurship, jump from startup to startup to startup. And both ideas, both paths are very compelling. And for a lot of us who work in big tech, I think the thing that maybe makes it difficult to make the choice of entrepreneurship is just the opportunity cost is very high. Living in the Bay Area is expensive, all that stuff. So, but I mean, I think especially in the age of AI, it's much easier to kind of, there's a lot of like opportunity. It's just like, we've opened up a whole new, if it was like a video game, we opened up a whole new level, and there's like all these opportunities, and it's really like yours to grab. And I especially feel that now, like entrepreneurship seems a lot more compelling. So maybe I can ask like some of the people who've had that experience, what are some of the things that they considered when they were kind of like, oh, I could just continue climbing the corporate ladder and, become like a VP or whatever at like one of these companies, and alhamdulillah, life is good. And also alhamdulillah, that we even get to make that choice, right? Or do we feel like, oh, I can actually have much more better impact, but also it's a lot more risky, and it's a lot less stable of an income. You have to kind of believe in it, all that stuff. So yeah, just like what are the things that go through your mind when you make that decision?
Yeah, I'll just do a quick one. It has to be mind over matter, right? I mean, a lot of people, the way we wired depends a lot. If you look at in the last 5 years, we've often had this debate with my peers who are in large companies. Maybe in the last 5 years, being with large corporations and scaling up the ladder was more meaningful. But if you are the person who puts mind over matter, this is the time to do startups because of the both the quality of the work that you will do and the outcome that you can produce for yourself. It's always a trade-off, but especially now with all the AI tools, you can experiment on the side, you can build your MVP on the side. There's a lot more shortcut to get to where you want to get to. I would say this is an era for building startups, and I would highly encourage anyone who was passionate about their work to think of the idea of building startups and go large companies. That's my 2 cents, but I'm sure the other points of view on the panel as well.
The other point of view is like, what is, like, if you have an idea and if you have done your market research and if you have seen, like, what is your ideal customer profile and you have interviewed, talked to them and just present like from a sketches, like, wireframes and other thing, and see like if they are going to be your design partner. Once you have that conviction, then rest becomes much easier. But if you don't have that conviction, then I would say like don't start it. Like don't just start it because it's in where I come from in my town there is a saying called fools by randomness. So there's a pawn shop where people start talking about like stock and say like, look, I'll invest in Infosys, Wipro and other companies. That's the best time to get out of the stock market because it's just too much. Too many people are just doing it. So don't follow that. But like like how brother said, right? Try doing the right now, right? You can do the wireframes, you can do the idea, you can do the concept research. Even you can hire a contractor. You don't even have to hire a contractor. Get Replit, Cursor, any IDE, and just write it, and do it on the side. Once you have that conviction, that's the right time. And the one of the oxygen of your startup is the funding. So are you able to can you define your idea in can you do a pitch deck, present it to VCs, get other people interested in it, and most importantly, can you get people to do a design partnership with you? Do it when you have 3 or 4 design partners who would say yes, this will solve the problem, and apply brutal first principle, like is it either it is solving a problem or not solving a problem. There's no intermediate state. And when you have those things, then definitely go for it.
I can add only a little bit, although I haven't created a successful startup at least up till now. But based on my experience and experience of some of my friends, 3 or 4 things matter for a successful startup: technology, team, and traction. So you should have good technology. And one downside of living in this current world is right now is that when you are going to go to different VCs for funding, they are going to require you to come up with a working system. It cannot be just a sketch, or it cannot be a prototype sort of thing. It should be working fully. Second thing, that you should have good people in your team, and by good people in your team, if you have got someone who has got already experience of having created a successful startup, maybe just like some of the people on the panel over here, then it is going to increase your chances. Last thing is traction, whether you are able to get different users to use your product or not. So if you are able to fill these 3 things, or if you are able to connect these 3 dots, then you have a high chance of creating a successful startup.
Assalamu alaikum. So I think you guys touched on this earlier, but for those of us who aren't necessarily in not coders, but are in tech, how, like, I personally am a documentation person, I'm a technical writer, so I have been avoiding using, ChatGPT and all those things just because I guess I'm old school and I'm like, I don't want help, or I don't, I just have been resisting it, but I feel like my job is going to get taken over eventually by AI, so I was just wondering like how I can keep myself relevant, like what exactly do you suggest that we do if we're in that position? Do we use ChatGPT and AI as companion to do what? Like to just make our jobs easier?
Sure, yeah, I can start on that. So, I mean, ChatGPT is not just for like documentation, right? I mean, we see some demos where it's also able to basically generate code. I'm myself as an engineer, I have like programmed on a dozen languages. I know how to program in almost all the languages. But still nowadays, when time comes, I rather use ChatGPT to generate some code than do it myself because it saves time, right? And same thing applies for everyone. Like you may be very good at documentation, right? But if you can use some tools to ease your task and deliver it faster, I think we should do that.
I think one of the challenge that you might be facing as well is, when developer writes the code, nobody comes and says, sister, this is the code, here is how it functions, here is how it is doing. So if you have anything that is approved by your organization, any AI technology that is approved, use the code and say, look, explain this code to me, what it is doing, another thing, right? So you could actually use AI to somewhat minimize, you can't cut it off 100%, but you can minimize your dependency on other people, and that's how AI can become your companion. And I don't think documentation job will go away, because there's a taxonomy. There's definitely a taxonomy, and as enterprise or technology platform becomes much larger, AI cannot, there's a traditional way of consuming the documentation, how it has been designed and other thing. You could apply a lot of creativity, publishing the tutorial, understanding the code, and then doing it. In that way, you will make it efficient. I've seen lot of enterprise startups who don't have the documentation writer. They go back to ChatGPT and write it.
Yeah, I'll leave you with maybe 2-3 terms. One is AI augmented human. We are going to an era where every human will be augmented by AI. So augment yourself with AI to become superhuman. Second is AI in the loop, right? Not every human in the loop. Not every AI is producing the perfect results. There's always going to be a human in the loop. You just have to make sure your skills are such a level where you are the human in the loop to make AI function effectively. The third thing is hallucination. Right now AI is not perfect. It hallucinates, like you saw in some of the demos. There will always be rough corners, round corners where it gets it wrong. You have to pick up an eye to be able to be the human in the loop to make AI not hallucinate and produce great results. So as long as we are dealing with this world, there will always be room for humans to better AI in many aspects of our job.
I have a question. So there are certain roles, for example, we were just having this conversation, my husband and I in the car, about even marketing roles, and I work in customer service. Low-level customer service work is being replaced by AI agents and digital workers. When do you decide when to pivot in your career? When do you decide, okay, I see the writing on the wall that I see this direction happening. Yes, I can, optimize my skills. I can use that as a companion. And then at some point, you have to make a pivot. So you pay attention to the industry and the trends. What do you see? Which roles do you think are being eliminated or being replaced with different skill sets?
Yeah, this is one of my passion projects, so I'll weigh in on this. A lot of our day-to-day life is very reactive in how we look for jobs, apply for jobs, or we're driven by the monetary aspects of jobs. I and the people that I have hired and led in my career, we were always about planning our career goals and career destinations. How do you plan for 2-4 year terms and build your career based on what you're seeing around you? So it's probably saying the obvious. If you stop being reactive in how you build your career, and if you start being very proactive, instead of what is passion to you, what you are strong at, where is the market going, you overlap those three, use design thinking as a principle and say, I want to proactively plan for my career, what I'm good at, what I can transcend, how do I draw bridges to where I want to go to. Those are some of the concepts that I have implemented in my career and the people that I've managed to build bridges to an end destination and then towards the end career destination. And that was also the idea behind Career Manzil that we are incubating as a startup. How do we help people get to their career goals and career destinations?
Yeah, Assalamu alaikum. I think there was already a question about SaaS and agents. So where do you see this agentic architecture going? Do you anticipate that it would be a layer over SaaS? Or do you see it as a replacement going forward, not immediately?
Yeah, I'll just make a quick comment and pass it on. I think it's disruptive. Both things will happen. there will be agents sitting on top of existing applications. It's a gradual transition, but there are product companies being funded that will disrupt the existing SaaS ecosystem as well. But it will not happen overnight, but both are working in parallel.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting question. It's hard to say. I feel SaaS applications are going to be around for some time. Still, there are some applications where humans will want to interface with them directly. But then quite a few SaaS applications will have agents on top, right? Where the agent is interfacing with the SaaS application and the human is interfacing with the agent, right? And the agent is talking to, let's say, 15 SaaS applications, right? To serve a single high-level abstract request from the user, which the user could not have done before, right? Directly with the SaaS tool. That's where I see it going. And then as time goes by, as models get better and better, I expect that the number of tools underneath these agents are going to increase, right? And then you also have these multi-agentic frameworks where agents are talking to one another. I think those are like play tools today and very hard to build. Single agents, I think, will start to play out, and then, probably it's going to, people are saying it's the year of agents. I think it's going to be the decade of agents. People are not going to be able to build robust production-ready agents in 2025.
Yeah, I just want to wrap it up because we're short time.
Just one short comment. So there was a question about documentation. I would like to connect that question and this question. So in industry, as per my experience and observation, there are agents being developed for almost everything. So agents are going to be there. How successful they are, it is going to depend on time. But I think all of the big techs are developing agents for almost everything.
In the interest of time, we'll take one last question. Ek Bhai, if you can come on stage, please. Just while we answer this question.
Yeah.
Come on.
Okay, the quick question I have, I know in the interest of time, we have entrepreneur side and as well as on the individual new career starters. So on the entrepreneur side, do we have any accelerators on the startup side which community can reach out to and say, okay, I have some ideas. How do I go through these startup world steps and succeed in my that? And second question on the new employment side is that, yes, we understand that you can pick up new courses, Coursera courses, things like that. But once you've gone through that, you need some mentorship. You need some actual use cases to apply your knowledge to learn because this field is unfolding so fast. You keep taking courses upon courses. It's a never-ending story.
I'll take the first one. I think we are working with Farid Bhai to, this is a good start. We're trying to build a lot of stuff around it, especially we're going to anchor some initiatives around startups. I've been part of a few accelerators, incubators in the past. I'll try and bring that experience to create a similar environment here where we can support startups through inception, through scale. That's one thing we're doing. On the education side, I think there are other people who are better equipped to answer that question.
I'd like to stop here because we have just 1 minute left for Isha. I'm sorry, but good thing is the brothers are going to be back here after Isha. If you have more questions, additional questions, we can talk in detail, inshallah ta'ala. But jazakallahu khair, thank you very much again. Inshallah, this is the first workshop, and I really thank the panel and the presenters, everyone. Alhamdulillah wa shukrulillah. We are going to do more sessions like this. Quarterly we plan to do. This is the first of 2025. We look forward for the next one, inshallah. Barakallahu fikum, jazakumullahu khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. دعاء اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى ال سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم اللهم انت السلام منك السلام هينا تبارك يا ذا الجلال والاكرام سمعنا واعطانا غفرانك ربنا واليك المصير ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وادخلنا الجنة مع الأبرار يا عزيز يا عزيز يا غفار اللهم أعنا على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك بفضل سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم.
Thank you very much.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Okay, so it looks like a lot of interest is back on the questions. So we are again requesting the panel to go back to their seats. We will start again an official question answer session. We thought it's going to be casual, but looks like a lot of people have many questions. So we don't want to leave them and unattended, inshallah. So I request again panel to go back, and if you can spare a few more minutes. Now we don't have any time limit, but you know your family timing has to be in priority as well. So please, Bismillah. Mansur bhai? Okay. Popular demand is Laik bhai. Where is he? Bismillah. So we'll have Laik bhai as well. Okay, so I will thank you to Raza bhai. He has to leave, it seems.
I will be here for 10 minutes.
Okay. Inshallah. Yeah, 10 minutes ago. Okay, no more further questions here. I will take the questions again back.
Mailing list bana do aap sabki.
Yeah, we have. Okay, we have. Okay, one other thing which I did, in the interest of time, I did not share this information when I presented the first introduction. One other thing which we have is when we have shown the core team slide, and also we have shown the advisory board. We also have another team which is called a support team. A support team idea is for the students or who wants to support this group. So if especially when some students want to do a project with AI and they need some advice, the team is available, inshallah ta'ala. And if also any project which MCC team wants to do, so we might need help with the students or graduates. So once we get those students and support team, we have tied up with Dr. Asif Khamar's company called Support Vectors. So he has agreed, alhamdulillah, to give a certificate back to the students if they shown a project to help us. And so that's a good tie-up with the MCC and Support Vectors. So I highly encourage, if anyone, youngster especially, wants to join us as a support team, we will. You will be in the part of this group, and you can have direct connection with all these panelists. At the same time, any projects are coming, you have any ideas, you want to take any projects to it, you can start immediately. And we have resources. And also, the good news is you'll get certified by Support Vectors, and that can be shown in your college as well, inshallah. With that further, inshallah, with next workshop, we'll again do the similar formatting. We'll have more details about it. We'll take the data now. But going back to the questions, I think Munad bhai, I would request you to repeat the question, and then we can. No, I'm done. I think.
Thank you. Yeah. Jazakallah for giving extra time. Yeah, so my question was back to the practical aspect of, beyond learning process and learning and positioning yourself to be successful. So one was accelerators, whether there's a startup accelerator somebody can join to understand the inner workings of the whole process. And as there was some explanation of, oh, these are the steps you need to do, but see in reality, or perhaps put themselves into it like a training wheel and learn from that process and see whether they can be successful, inshallah. And I would prefer our community coming more on that side of rather than working for someone. If you have ideas, you should just come out with that. But only thing is that it's a fear of failure, and putting bread on the table. Between the two, you normally don't go for the entrepreneurship, you just get a job. And the second side was on the ones, somebody who just entering into this field, and they have taken the courses, they've taken the lot of additional information, knowledge which is coming through the systems or available to us, but now at a point where they want to do some practical work, to see whether what they've been learning in the last 3-6 months is making sense or not. Because you keep taking courses, it doesn't get you anywhere unless you actually do a project and somebody reviews the project, a mentorship program or something, and say, yeah, you're going in the right direction. No, ignore this, go this direction. So that was my question. Sorry, going longer.
So maybe I can start with the answer to the first question. I was talking to a sister as well. And sorry, I'm not on the stage. I have to leave in 10 minutes. So I was just telling that there are some VC funds now in the Bay Area that are backed by Muslim community as well. For example, there is an Alif VC fund. So they haven't disclosed that how much funding they are providing, but they are providing mentorship for sure. And they had a big summit recently, I think 2 weeks ago. Then there are some other groups as well. For example, I know within the Pakistani community, there is a group by the name of Park Launch that help people in their entrepreneurial pursuits. So there are groups like that. And then there are university-specific VC funds as well, or funding opportunities as well. I know a few funding opportunities within Berkeley. So there is Skydeck. There are some other startup accelerators available over there. So I think that was your first question. I will come back to your second question, but maybe if anyone wants to answer.
Hello? Yeah, I wanted to touch on the mentorship aspect. We've been doing that, like at least in my career, right? We had junior engineers whom we used to mentor, and the way we would start is like from their interest areas, right? And what they are interested about, what they're passionate about, what are their areas of improvements they're looking at. And then typically what we do is we meet them with them periodically. We set a plan for them. We also give them actionable goals, right? And then as time goes on, we evaluate like where they are and what are the kind of direction they should be going. Are they on the right path? Do they need to adjust something? So we could do the same thing, and it's okay. I think if I speak on behalf of all the panel here, we are happy to also mentor people who are interested personally, and yeah, we can help with that definitely.
I want to make a comment. So I really like what you said about the focus should be on practicality and showing your work. And I was just having this conversation with the sister earlier today, especially for the young people in the audience. You really have to hustle now to get a job. And, don't think that by going to college and getting a college degree, you're going to have a job. You are not going to have a job. You almost have to work while you're going to college to get a job. And the reason why I bring this up is that it's become harder and harder now to really when I graduated college, it was a very different time, right? And in this time right now, jobs are becoming scarcer and scarcer, and you have to have an entrepreneurial mindset. So you should be doing these projects. You should be working, doing internships. In our community, the focus is too much on getting good grades. Just get your, do your courses, get good grades, get a degree, then you'll have a job. It doesn't work that way. I review resumes all the time, and when I see on resumes that this person doesn't have a job, or they've worked at Starbucks or some low-tech job, I'm not going to look at their resume. And that's just the reality of where we are today. You really have to stand out and companies these days are hiring in other locations. We have hybrid, it's not like you have all these jobs that are sitting out there available for people to just jump into. Even software engineers who are graduating are having a tough time finding jobs. So I really like what you said about entrepreneurial mindset, but also as a community, we need to put less focus on getting good grades. You should be getting good grades. I'm not telling you guys not to get good grades, but you should also be working on things. You should be networking with everyone here. There are college students who are just graduated. I was just having a conversation with a young woman who just graduated from Berkeley, and she's having a really hard time landing interviews. So if you're, it doesn't mean that you're just going to put your resume out there. You're going to find a job. You really have to hustle. So my advice to everyone here is that start working while you're in school.
Other point that you mentioned was when you're looking for funding, right? If you want, right, we can help in just refining the pitch. How you should, like, if you need help in refining the pitch, your plan and other thing, we can provide the help. On the other side, as Brother Ali mentioned, that is one of the goal of MCC, where we want to actually establish the mentorship program and help you enable with it. So both sides, right? I think it will be proud moment for MCC if there is a good startup that comes out, and from this program, that's the ultimate goal.
Yeah, Jazakallah khair. Actually, I want to add that point itself. This is the beginning, and when we were started thinking about what should we be doing it. So if you have seen the slide on when we have shared about the goal, we want to get into the entrepreneurship at the same time and mentorship to start. So this is the beginning of it. We'll be learning a lot from this, and once we have the data, how we are going to do it, we definitely need help from the community at the same time, and we will going to do our planning to how we're going to start the mentorship program. And this is also a need of the community, alhamdulillah.
And we should also say that if there are compelling good business cases for people,
Yeah.
I mean, they can always come to us.
To us, and yeah, we are opening it for kind of the community. Like as I said, we are giving the names to it so that we'll be identified from this group to this group. But the idea is to bring everyone together on the AI platform, whatever capacity they are with, either the coding or the professional or entrepreneurship. We like to have the open form for everyone, and that's the one big goal from MCC to initiate this alhamdulillah program. Please.
Action item from this
Yes.
is to add a chatbot to our MCC website.
Okay.
It would be a good project for one of the students to add.
Bismillah, yeah, we encourage, please, because this is going to be impacting everyone, and we cannot avoid AI now. We have to be with AI in everyone's capacity. So, Bismillah. Yeah, that's a great. Thank you. And yeah, please.
I don't think we haven't answered his second question.
Oh, I think
We did.
But I would like to listen to my brother Sami, because you've been in the capacity where you've been teaching.
Well, Raza Bhai and Like Bhai are even more experienced than I am in terms of teaching, I would say. Yeah, so what I would say is that, I totally agree with you that courses they're foundational, right? You take courses, and at some point, you cannot grow if you continue taking 10 other courses. You have to go into a project-based learning mindset. And I would say that even as an early graduate, you have to kind of find an intersection of work that sparks your curiosity, but that's also interesting to the market, right? So maybe if you're not able to get a job, maybe start as a consultant. Try to look up at whatever dollar value you can. That okay, what kind of
Before that is that even though there are these code and there are different options available for you to go and try out things, but I think the missing part between the learning part and getting onto those is still some guidance, like human in the loop.
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm pointing out, is that if this forum can provide somehow that human in the loop process from jumping from the learning into the practical, I think that would be a good project.
We can. That's a good point. Completely agree. The only thing that I would call out is the outcome has to be clear, which means what are you trying to aspire? Are you going to be a product manager in the AI space? Do you want to be an AI engineer? or do you just want to be, just basic learning in terms of how you want to leverage AI? Once that goal is clear, then we can actually work towards a plan for you, right? There are a number of opportunities, avenues out there. I mean, actually, there's a very subtle gap between theory and practice because there are like tons of opportunities out there. I'll give you one website called deeplearning.ai. That's a website that I have basically been using for quite a while. Yeah, and I just love it. I mean, I teach in a university, then do I tell anyone and everyone, go and look at deep learning AI. You can go at any length. You want to go learn about mathematics behind AI, you get that. You want to go learn about AI, you'll get that. You want to learn about deep learning or generative AI, as Brother Raza was kind of talking about, you can get any conceptual aspect of it, even practical pieces of it as well. So anyways, just know that we are here in case you have any specific question in regards to a specific request. We are very happy to work with you. We can work backwards. You define your goal and we can work backwards in terms of how we can build it to that objective and outcome that you want to achieve. Simple.
I would just like to add to an excellent comment made by Sister Alia. So many of you may be interested that how you can get a good job or how students can get a good job. So the way I treat resumes is that the resume is your introduction in a way that if you are not present in some space but your resume is there, it should be able to speak out for you. And it should be able to speak out for you in the sense that it gives you some upper edge. And for that upper edge, you need to work on some things that other people have not been working on. So with AI, when you are going to, or anyone is going to go into the market, they are going to be competing against people who will be using AI in almost every stuff. So you have to figure out what is the unique edge that you can have. And we are here, we can provide you some sort of ideas that what you should be working on, what product ideas can be good for your case. So that sort of guidance can be provided, but it requires a lot of effort from the individuals end as well.
So I don't know where we are going with this going forward. So I see a lot of experienced people who have domain knowledge, and in the community I have seen a lot of kids who are in the final year of their graduation and they are coming up with a good programming language and all this stuff. So what is the plan here? Are we waiting until a quarter for this seminar to come in? Or in between that, are we reaching out to community for the next step? Because I see a lot of potential, but how much community is aware of it with our plan? So what is the plan we have it from the MCC perspective?
I think this question is for me. You could have asked me later also. But Alhamdulillah. So at this time, this is the first initiative we can say. We want to reach everyone out to show mashallah, we have amazing data engineers who can help the community. What MCC is thinking from the same aspect, we want to form a group where if community wants, so it has to be both sides. So this is from our end, we formed a group now. We have, before this, everyone was working individually. And giving a shape to it, now we have an entity with the name and we have the contacts, and we are trying to build a few things on the MCC website. The MCC website is our next phase where we are going to have this team profiles and schedules for this program and the sample examples what AI can do and the opportunities to ask questions and look forward to get the guidance. So this is another step we are going to do. And mentorship, as I said, our end goal is to entrepreneurship and mentorship too. So, inshallah. I hope that, yes, sir.
I have a couple of questions. First is, are you aware of any opportunities or companies which are working on the data side as it relates to AI? Any specific opportunities? Because access to data and gating of data could be one of the important drivers in future. That's what I think. So what are the specific opportunities or companies that you're aware of that we can learn about? And second, adding on to what Farid Bhai said, Zahir, question for you. AI is a field that is moving so fast. Speed is the key here. So can we have goals like at least launching 3 ideas a quarter in MCC, an aggressive schedule like this?
No, that's a good point. Thank you. We need this kind of feedback points as well. It will help us to move fast. At the same time, with our capacity, we'll try to get more and more into this side, inshallah.
Yeah, on the first question, I know of a few, but I'm sure the panel can add more. You should look at companies like Databricks, Snowflake, DataIQ. There are a lot of platform companies in the data side. But there are also a ton of services companies that are helping platform companies to aggregate data. So we can connect offline. There's a slew of data companies that are only focused on getting the data in one place, cleansing it, keeping it ready for AI modeling and AI inferencing. So there are a diverse spectrum of companies in that space already.
So I want to know how math and vertices, like how do they apply in like AI?
Sami, you ready? Okay, so just to simplistically answer that, I mean, if you think about it, most of the AI models are basically statistical models in simple terms. However, I think as brother talked about, we are talking about linear regression. That's algebra, right? So if I take a step back, there are like 2 or 3 areas that are very, very impactful and useful in the context of AI. It's algebra, linear algebra, calculus, and statistics. Those are the 3 disciplines from a mathematical standpoint that are very, very useful. I'm talking about basic level, but when you get to the advanced level, when we talk about neural networks, they are all built on these mathematical formula, cosine, activation function, and so many that are out there. So just at a fundamental level, as far as you know, high school calculus, as far as you know, high school statistics, probability, which is absolutely a must in this space, and then algebra, I think you're absolutely fine. In fact, algebra is basically the foundation for calculus as well as probability. Anything else you'd like to add to it?
I can add, I guess. Go for it. Yeah, I think Bhai covered it completely, right? So you basically need algebra, calculus, probability theory, and maybe I can add optimization as one more discipline that you need in to build these models, right? But really, if you look at them fundamentally, these models they require quite simple mathematics, right? High school level mathematics, or maybe first year college level mathematics that you can build on top of, right? So a neural network is just a bunch of matrix multiplications followed by non-linear operations. And you repeat them in layers and you learn very complex functions, right? And the way you train them is using calculus. Backpropagation is a sub part of calculus. Then gradient descent is a form of an optimization algorithm. So algebra, linear algebra is the core of it. It's the foundation of it. And then on top of that, you need to know calculus, probability theory, and some amount of optimization, right? So applied mathematics, I would say. Vectors are just one portion of linear algebra, right? And in the end, when the language model is actually coming up with this prediction, it's coming up with a probability distribution, right? And that probability distribution is over a set of discrete set of outcomes, right? So there are a set of tokens, right? Tokens, you can see them as words, right? And those words are, let's say, 100,000 tokens, right? And it produces a set of probabilities for each output token, each output word, right? And that is a vector. And you sample from that vector and you say, hey, which one is the highest probability? Is it the, is it a, is it something else? So these fundamental these are like so fundamental, right? To if you want to build these models and you want to really, work on core AI, that you want to be really good at your linear algebra, really good in your calculus, really good in your probability theory, right? I would say that's
okay. From sister side.
So this is a bit of a technical question that I was kind of interested in. So all the models that we use, from like ChatGPT to like linear regression, or any model really, is consistently collecting our data. So when we're using like Instagram, for example, it's constantly collecting data about ourselves that we're not even sure on. So at one point, does it become like a problem? At one point, can we like keep collecting this data on ourselves? Like we were talking about digital twins before, but in like perspective of like refrigerators, but at one point we're going to have digital twins of ourselves that exist on the cloud. So at one point, does like innovation get kind of conflicted by this like data privacy issue, by the idea that like our lives and mere existence like exists in the universe and like technology? Does that like ever become an issue? Is that something that could be negatively used? Is that something we should worry about in general?
Yeah, I'll try and be brief with the answer. It's a long answer, but I'll try and be brief. As we speak, there are advancements happening in technology to address that particular problem. If you look at the European Union, they are way ahead in terms of compliance and regulations of what you can do, what you cannot do with your data. US is a little bit laggard, but I think they will catch up. But that is from a regulatory compliance, regulation, data privacy perspective, from a policy perspective. But also in terms of technology, I'm aware of confidential compute infrastructure, where there's a lot of talk about enterprises running their AI models and having the data on a crypted confidential computing infrastructure, so that your data and the security of the data is stuck on the hardware, not abstracted to the software. What happens today is when a model trains on a data, the data, even though it's private to you, your enterprise, it gets unwrapped, trained, and wrapped again. So when you're doing the unwrapping, the intelligence that resides in your data is going out, and somebody else can benefit from the same intelligence. That's why there's a push in the next few years. You'll see today it's very expensive to adopt confidential computing, but over time they'll start getting cost optimized. But all your data where it resides, your models where they reside, where the intelligence that's derived from the training, they will all reside in confidential computing infrastructure. And I believe in 3 to 4 years time frame, the notion of RSA as a security being broken will start to become important, and then quantum computing will start to take precedence. So it's still further away, but these are upcoming technologies that are helping address. It has to be both technology and regulatory. They have to go work in tandem.
Controversial. I'm just going to make a very controversial statement here. Actually, there is no concept of privacy anymore. Sorry to say. You are using Netflix, it's personalized. You're using Amazon, it's personalized. You're using Facebook, forget it. So privacy is a taboo. It doesn't exist. However, what I will answer your question is, it's not the quantity, it's the quality. The big challenge with the organizations is they have like tons and tons of data, but they are not utilizing it. So the more organizations basically pay attention to the qualitative aspect of it, the better they can get in terms of driving insights and actions. There's like tons of data that's sitting in companies, but they don't know how to utilize it at all. In fact, there's a number called 70%. So just keep that in consideration.
One more question, right?
Yes.
Follow-up question.
It's a little bit different from this question. I guess I had two of them, but I'll go with one. Is there a point when AI can become powerful enough that it starts programming itself? Because we have the ability to make any product we want with AI, which means that eventually AI can just build more artificial intelligence that can do more complex problems. Then are humans needed at all at the end of the day? Like if the AI can do everything on its own?
Brother Sami, I think you're a PhD. Come on, go for it. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and I'm happy to answer.
So it's very interesting that you asked, because when ChatGPT came out, just after that there was a paper called the React paper. People know React as a language, but there's a paper by that name for agents. At least the first thing I tried to do with it was to ask it to program a neural network, right? And it actually managed to do a basic. I asked it to just train a neural network to predict y equal to 2x, right? Which is, you don't even need a neural network for that, but just as a proof of concept, right? And I think with these agentic frameworks coming in and models becoming better and better, you will give them abstract high-level tasks, right? And those abstract high-level tasks may require those agents to use predictive models. Now you can very well imagine that a generative AI model is running. It's calling tools. Those tools are, for example, let's say you have you ask ChatGPT what is in this image, right? And because it's a language model, it needs access to a object detection model as well. So it will call it as a tool, but it may very well be at some point that we will see that these models will not only be able to be capable of calling another machine learning model, but really programming them on the fly as well, right? And we already see that with just Python calls, where it runs a simple model, linear regression call, and it knows that this model exists. But if such a model doesn't exist, I expect as models get better, they will start to program them. So it's within the realm of
actually, based on what you are saying, right? We saw the example in the computer use demo, right? The way it started is, it started with a prompt. It understands what the goal is, and then it knows that it has a tool called a computer. So he said, okay, give me a screenshot, show me how the computer looks like currently, what is the current state. Then it says there is a browser open, I can use that. So that's the AI making decision that it can use this as a tool. And then said, so it asks the tool, like, move the cursor to this coordinates, right, which is the address bar. And then it says, I need to type the keywords. So it typed the keyword and it said, now hit enter, right? After that, it got a list of results. It looked at the results and it says, okay, the first one looks the most likely one, so let me open that, and then that's how it goes, right? So it is still, even now, like, it is doing all these kind of intelligent decisions with just like a high-level input and a set of tools.
I would like to maybe add a couple of things here. So if you look at these language models or any of these really large machine learning models that are getting built, there's a pre-training stage, then there's a supervised fine-tuning stage, and then there's a reinforcement learning stage. A lot of the magic has now started to come up in the reinforcement learning stage. I don't know if you guys have watched AlphaGo. Back before the LLMs were around, you already had DeepMind machine algorithm, AlphaGo, compete with the best machine learning, best human champion, right? And Go is a very complex game. It's like there are 300 times more possible moves than chess, right? And people obviously didn't expect that the human champion would get beaten. But with reinforcement learning, the game just keeps, the machine learning model keeps playing with itself, right? And when it plays with itself continually, it can simulate a lot more possibilities, and it has a much longer lifetime, like computational lifetime, than humans have, right? So it gets really good, right? In the beginning, with supervised fine-tuning or supervised learning, you imitate a human. But when the machine has gotten to that point, it can play its own games in its virtual world, right? And once it does that, it can show superhuman performance in very narrow domains. And now we are seeing, as a function of time now, that those domains are getting broader. So it's both scary and exciting, I guess. That's.
I have one question, because I see this come up a lot, and something that I think about too is does AI oppose our religion? Like, I've heard things that, AI is like the Dajjal and AI is jinns, and I mean, how much do we keep these two separate? I've also seen like a website of Shake AI. How do you, like, where do you draw the line with this? Especially now that we're in the, you know, we're in the masjid right now. I'm curious to get your take on this.
So I would like to give my personal like perspective on this as a user of AI, right? Like, so when it comes to basically learning about like religion or specific topics, I won't trust AI because it, as you know, right, it hallucinates. And so in those regards, right, even Google as such, I don't trust that much. In that matter, I still trust on human beings and go. You must just go to your mufti and talk to them on those matters, and that's the approach I take.
Yeah, on your first question, I don't know, there were some videos that I watched when the early stages of ChatGPT, they asked what's the most proven and referred to Islam because they could trace the scriptures and the texts of Quran all the way back to its origin. So that's a good starting point, but I'm sure there are data drifts, there are other data, rogue elements that will come in intelligence, but I would, second what brother said is to depend on your own alims and ulama. Zahir bhai.
Yeah, I think that's very important question, Sister Alia. We are in the world that it's very scary. Islamic studies is very deep, and IT engineers who have learned AI are the experts in AI. But religion aspect is very different than what AI currently. So reaching that level, at this time I don't know how fast we can go there. But one other video I have seen, somebody asked ChatGPT if you can phrase an ayah like Quran with your ability. So that came as negative. It's hard to replace. So it's very vast, and we have to be very, very careful as we protect our deen. Inshallah, Allah help us to protect us from all these fitnas. But as we see, AI is way big, and our religion is too deep. Alhamdulillah. So people have given their whole life to understand the fiqh and each aspect of it. That kind of information going to the engineers who are or training, how we are going to train at this time, it's not a right answer, the straight answer, but whatever little understanding Allah has given to us, I think we need to be very protective and careful in that area. Okay, Alhamdulillah, this also, yeah. Okay, go ahead.
upon it and consume that. But my question is more around if somebody is building a startup around AI solutions, right, using AI technology, building some solutions, what would be some of their roadblocks or hindrances to them to actually get to market? For example, like somebody like, Sister Alia who's running this customer service department, if you were asked like, hey, I have this cool AI solution, what would be your concerns around it, and what would make you comfortable or uncomfortable adopting that solution?
I think it's definitely intelligence, because you want to protect your data, right? There's competitors outside. You don't want to expose that. The second is good data. Even our support cases, we have I work for a financial technology company, and we use Salesforce as our CRM, and our customer support reps will log their issues. We have a knowledge base. Over the years, several people have documented issues, their solutions, but it all goes back to the quality of data. I was saying that like the type of work that we do is deep knowledge work. You need to have several years of experience. You need to understand how the product works. There's a heavy reliance on humans to like collaborate, swarm, to review issues. So it all depends on like what the quality of data is in Salesforce. So I think, whatever tool that we adopt, first it's going to be cost, do we have to spend a lot of money on this? In this environment of like, I think there's a big emphasis on new products that include AI, but for the customer service side, it's like, okay, what is the cost of implementing this tool? And then secondly, like there's you don't want the guardrails of your own intelligence. I would say that like those are the two top things. But I do think about it. I do think about like, can this work be done by a digital worker? From what I've seen, and we do have a company that our corporate acquired, which is all on digital workers. The type of work that we do is very technical, very deep, and so you can't automate those tasks, right? But I'm sure we're not too far off, that it'll get there at some point.
One answer is data for sure. I'm advising a company that is trying to do patient and drug use case mapping. In terms of pharma companies that launch drugs, they want to try on certain patient elements. And the idea is great, the algorithms do a great job of matching, but getting HIPAA compliant data that is residing in hospitals and clinics is extremely difficult. So any AI startup has to first figure out the data problem, because their models and the outcome they produce will depend on the data and the quality of the data that they can input. So that's definitely a roadblock that you need to think through. I think with that, we'll probably wrap it up for today. Thank you so much for all your patience. Jazakallah khair.
Yeah, and this also shows how much interest this community has for the questions and answers. We probably have to think about having a bigger duration for the question and answer, actually, longer duration, inshallah. Okay, Jazakallah khair again, once again. Thank you for your time. Thanks everyone for joining.